once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
Berry Gordy built Motown by deciding which songs America would hear. But some records his system rejected became classics. One was buried for years, another was considered too dangerous, and one song he reportedly called the worst thing he had ever heard eventually inspired an album ranked above every other record in music history.
Oh yeah, baby. Now if
These are 7 Motown masterpieces that nearly never escaped the vault. Number 7, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, The Temptations.
I mean that much to me, ain't too proud to beg.
Norman Whitfield wanted control of the Temptations. By 1966, that position belonged largely to Smokey Robinson.
Please don't leave me, girl.
Smokey had shaped the group's elegant sound, delivered My Girl, and remained one of Berry Gordy's closest creative partners. Challenging him meant challenging the center of Motown's power.
If it'll keep you by my side, ain't too
Whitfield believed the Temptations could sound rougher and more emotionally exposed. With Eddie Holland, he wrote Ain't Too Proud to Beg, a song about a man abandoning every trace of pride to stop a woman from leaving.
girl. If I have to sleep on your
The first version failed Motown's quality control process. Gordy reportedly felt the record needed a stronger, emotional story. Whitfield returned to the studio and raised the song into a more demanding key. David Ruffin now had to stretch for the notes, forcing natural strain into every line.
even this I can stand, 'cause I wanna keep you.
Otis Williams later remembered Ruffin sweating heavily as Whitfield demanded take after take. That physical struggle became the performance. Ruffin no longer sounded polished, he sounded desperate. Even then, the song faced another obstacle.
Don't leave me, girl. Ain't too proud.
It was competing with Smokey Robinson's Get Ready for the Temptations' next release. Smokey's record won. Whitfield was furious, but Gordy offered a condition. If Get Ready failed to reach the top 20 on the pop chart, Ain't Too Proud to Beg would be next.
Grows more and more. I'm not ashamed to come.
Get Ready topped the R&B chart, but stopped at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100. Whitfield finally got his chance. Released in 1966, Ain't Too Proud to Beg reached number 1 on the R&B chart and number 13 on the Hot 100.
And plead to you, baby. If pleading keeps you from
More importantly, the victory shifted creative control. Whitfield became the Temptations' dominant producer and eventually led them toward heavier rhythms, psychedelic soul, and social commentary.
walking out that door, ain't too proud to beg. No.
Motown asked him for more emotion. He delivered enough to change the future of the group.
Don't leave me, girl.
Number 6, Jimmy Mack, Martha, and the Vandellas. Jimmy Mack had nearly everything Motown usually wanted from a single. Holland Dozier and Holland recorded it with Martha and the Vandellas in 1964. The track had relentless hand claps, an immediate chorus, and Martha Reeves singing with enough urgency to make waiting sound unbearable. Yet the song disappeared. According to songwriter Lamont Dozier, Motown quality control executive Billie Jean Brown did not support the record and removed it from consideration. It did not lose a dramatic vote. It simply stopped moving through the company. For more than 2 years, the completed song remained unreleased while Motown produced new material. Martha Reeves reportedly did not even know it was sitting in the vault. That delay should have ended its chances. Music was changing quickly during the 1960s. A track recorded in 1964 could feel outdated by 1967, especially inside Motown, where producers were constantly refining the label's sound. Then, Berry Gordy reportedly discovered the recording while reviewing unreleased material. Lamont Dozier later recalled that Gordy became angry when he learned how long it had been hidden and demanded an immediate release. Jimmy Mack arrived in February 1967. It reached #1 on the R&B chart and #10 on the Billboard Hot 100. But the years it spent on the shelf gave the song a meaning nobody could have planned. By 1967, the Vietnam War had separated thousands of couples and families. Soldiers were overseas, relationships were under pressure, and many women were waiting without knowing when their partners would return. The song had not been written specifically about Vietnam, but listeners heard that fear inside it. A straightforward love song had arrived during the exact moment when its central question carried the greatest possible weight. Motown had treated it like old inventory. The public heard loneliness, uncertainty, and hope. Number 5. I Heard It Through the Grapevine, Marvin Gaye.
I bet you're wondering how I knew.
Norman Whitfield refused to let I Heard It Through the Grapevine die. He and Barrett Strong created the song as a story about betrayal discovered indirectly. There is no honest confession. The truth arrives through rumors, leaving the central character humiliated by the thought that everyone else knew first.
It took me by surprise, I must say.
Smokey Robinson and the Miracles recorded an early version, but Motown did not select it as a single. Whitfield then brought the song to Marvin Gaye. Their recording was slower, darker, and far more uneasy. The percussion remained controlled, the strings created tension, and the electric piano left space around the RnB Vault and turn on notifications, because the deeper we move into Motown's vault, the more unbelievable these decisions become. And the 4 records still ahead did more than survive rejection. They changed the artists who fought for them. Number 4, For Once in My Life, Stevie Wonder.
For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
For Once in My Life was supposed to be a ballad. Written by Ron Miller and Orlando Murden, the song had already been approached by other singers as a slow declaration of gratitude. The lyric appeared to call for tenderness and restraint. Then, Stevie Wonder heard something else inside it. Stevie was only 17, but he transformed the composition. He increased the tempo, strengthened the rhythm, added bright horns, and turned quiet appreciation into an explosion of joy. The singer no longer sounded surprised that love had arrived. He sounded determined to hold on to it. Producer Henry Cosby helped Stevie record the arrangement in 1967. The performance carried the restless energy that had made him a gifted Motown star. Berry Gordy did not approve. From his perspective, the upbeat production worked against the song's original emotional design. For Once in My Life had been written and interpreted as a ballad. Stevie's version seemed too excited for the words. Gordy blocked the release. The recording returned to the vault for about a year. Then Billie Jean Brown, the same quality control executive associated with holding back Jimmy Mack, reportedly pushed Motown to reconsider. Gordy eventually relented. Released in 1968, For Once in My Life reached #2 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the R&B chart. The song blocking it from #1 on the Hot 100 was Marvin Gaye's I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Motown had 2 rejected recordings competing near the top of the chart at the same time. But Stevie's victory meant more than chart success. It showed what happened when he trusted his instincts instead of following Motown's formula. For Once in My Life was an early sign that Stevie Wonder intended to become the architect of his own music. Number 3, The Tears of a Clown, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Now if there's a smile on my face,
Some classics are rejected because someone dislikes them. Others disappear because nobody recognizes what they have.
let my glad expression give you
In 1967, Stevie Wonder and producer Hank Cosby created an instrumental track but had not completed the song.
the wrong impression. Really, I'm sad.
Stevie brought the music to Smokey Robinson, hoping he could find the right lyrical direction. Smokey heard something playful in the arrangement. The melody reminded him of a circus, but the music also carried sadness.
Ain't too much sadder than the tears of a clown.
That contrast led him toward the image of a clown entertaining an audience while hiding private heartbreak.
It's only to camouflage my sadness.
The idea drew inspiration from the tragic clown associated with the Italian opera Pagliacci. Smokey built the lyric around emotional disguise. The audience sees laughter. The performer feels devastation.
This hurt with a show of gladness, but don't let
Every cheerful musical detail makes the loneliness beneath it more painful. It was exactly the kind of contradiction Smokey Robinson understood better than almost anyone at Motown. He could place heartbreak inside music that made people dance.
I need you so. I'm hurt.
Yet, The Tears of a Clown was not selected as a single. It appeared on the Miracles' 1967 album, Make It Happen, and remained there.
Too much sadder than the tears of a clown.
Smokey did not demand its release. Stevie Wonder did not campaign for it. Berry Gordy and Motown's quality control team did not identify it as an obvious hit.
But in my lonely room, I cry the tears.
For roughly 3 years, the song remained an album track. Then, Motown's British operation needed new material from the Miracles. Executives searched the group's catalog and released The Tears of a Clown in the United Kingdom.
Now if there's a smile,
British listeners heard what Detroit had missed. The song reached #1.
expression, give you the wrong impression.
Motown then released it in America, where it topped both the Billboard Hot 100 and the R&B chart. It became the only #1 pop hit of Smokey Robinson's original run with the Miracles. The song did not need rewriting. It needed somebody to listen again.
Make you think that I don't care.
Number 2, War, Edwin Starr.
Good God, y'all.
By 1970, Motown could no longer avoid the political atmosphere surrounding its music. The Vietnam War was dividing America. Young people were protesting. Families were losing sons. Black communities were confronting racism, poverty, and violence with growing urgency.
Good God, y'all.
Motown had built its success by crossing boundaries. Its biggest stars appealed to black and white listeners, younger and older audiences, and people with sharply different political views. That broad popularity was valuable. It also made direct protest dangerous.
Induction, who wants to die?
Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong wrote War during this moment. The Temptations recorded it for their 1970 album Psychedelic Shack, and listeners quickly recognized its power. Fans reportedly contacted Motown asking for the song to be released as a single. Berry Gordy refused. The Temptations were one of Motown's most commercially important groups. Gordy feared that attaching them to such an aggressive anti-war statement could alienate conservative listeners and damage their carefully protected position.
What is it good for?
The song could remain on the album. It would not become their single. Whitfield found another route. He approached Edwin Starr, a powerful vocalist who had joined Motown after the company acquired the Detroit label Rick-Tick. Starr had talent, but not the same commercial security as the Temptations. That made him the safer risk. Starr delivered the song with the fury it demanded. The percussion struck hard, the backing singers sounded like a crowd, and every line felt less like entertainment than confrontation. Released in 1970, Edwin Starr's War reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 3 weeks. It became the defining recording of his career. Gordy had protected the Temptations, but Motown had not eliminated the political message. It had transferred the risk to another artist. Edwin Starr accepted that risk and turned it into immortality. #1. What's Going On? Marvin Gaye.
Mother, mother, there's
By 1970, Marvin Gaye was no longer willing to pretend the world was fine. For years, Motown had presented him as a polished, romantic star.
some loving here today. Yeah.
Behind that image, Marvin was changing. His duet partner, Tammy Terrell, died in March 1970. His brother Frankie had returned from Vietnam carrying painful stories from the war.
We don't need to escalate.
Outside the studio, America was being shaken by protest, racism, poverty, addiction, and political violence.
To bring some loving here.
Marvin questioned whether another love song could speak to that reality. The foundation of What's Going On came from Four Tops member Ronaldo "Obi" Benson.
Talk to me so you can see. Oh,
After witnessing violence against anti-war demonstrators in California, Benson began developing the song with Al Cleveland. Marvin reshaped the lyrics and turned the composition into a wounded conversation rather than an angry speech.
everybody thinks we
He sang about mothers, brothers, children, war, and the need to understand one another before the country tore itself apart. The music also challenged Motown's formula. Voices created the atmosphere of a gathering. Jazz influences moved through the arrangement. Marvin layered his vocals until he seemed to be questioning and answering himself.
they judge us simply cause I
Berry Gordy strongly resisted releasing it. According to the most famous version of the story, he called it the worst thing he had ever heard. The wording has been debated, but the rejection has not.
am understanding here today. Oh,
Marvin refused to back down. He told Motown he would not continue recording until the song was released. Other executives eventually released it. What's Going On arrived in January 1971 and became one of Motown's fastest-selling singles. It reached #1 on the R&B chart and #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The audience settled the argument. Marvin then built an album around the song's world. It moved through war, poverty, addiction, environmental destruction, faith, and social abandonment, with each track flowing into the next.
don't punish me with brutality.
Released in May 1971, the album transformed Marvin from star vocalist into complete artist.
Come on, talk to me.
In 2020, Rolling Stone ranked it #1 on its list of the 500 greatest albums ever made. The project Gordy feared would damage Marvin became the work most often used to define his genius.
You can see what's going on. Yeah.
Berry Gordy was not a man who constantly failed to recognize great music. He was one of the most successful hitmakers the industry had ever seen. That is exactly why these stories matter. His system helped turn young Detroit performers into international stars. But no system can predict the future perfectly. Ain't Too Proud to Beg needed more emotion. Jimmy Mack spent years hidden. I Heard It Through the Grapevine needed radio listeners to force Motown's hand. For Once in My Life revealed Stevie Wonder's growing independence. The Tears of a Clown had to be discovered in another country. War was considered too dangerous for the Temptations. And What's Going On survived because Marvin Gaye was willing to stop working until Motown listened. Berry Gordy understood what the public was already buying. These artists were beginning to create what the public had never heard before. Which Motown rejection surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to RnB Vault, because some of soul music's greatest records were almost never released.
What's going on?